Thank you for listening to the BJJ Brick Podcast. We'll be bringing you Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and good times. We hope to flatten your Jiu-Jitsu learning curve, help you get the most out of your grappling ability, and meet your goals both on and off the mat.
Welcome back, my friends. Episode 66 of the BJJ Brick Podcast. I'm Gary, and as usual, I'm here with Byron. How are you, Byron?
Gary, I'm doing great. Still have a little bit of a sore throat here, but I'm here.
Is your sore throat from being choked, or have you been sick?
No, I'm not really sick. I just have sinus. My sinus is going crazy, and then
we should have known. Byron's impossible to choke. But I've been getting closer because I've been listening to our last few episodes with the Roy Marsh guillotine tips. So sooner or later, I'll be able to give Byron a sore throat.
Gary, I don't know how many times you've guillotined me from guard, but you've guillotined me a ton from the mount. So,
well, I'm going to have to try for guard.
Your mount of guillotine is very good. Anyway, we got a great show today.
We do. We have a very special guest, Rafael Lovato Jr. who's going to be on, talk about his injury, talk about his MMA, talk about his Save Jiu-Jitsu movement, and just talk about a lot of different stuff with us.
And he's not just doing MMA, he's still going to the Worlds, he's still going to compete in ADCC.
And that's what all us grapplers like to hear.
Yeah. So, really good interview, a lot of fun talking with him. So I know you guys are going to enjoy this interview. Gary, before we get started too deep in things, I was talking with a buddy of mine, a mutual friend of ours, and he's a blue belt now, and he said the first year he knew Gary, he thought Gary was like pretty terrible at jiu-jitsu, because what Gary does is he lets everybody who's new like tap him out like all the time, and it goes after that year. Gary quit doing that to me, and I never tap him out anymore. He destroys me. So, Gary, it's kind of funny the way you tricked him there.
The art of deception. No, I'm always pretty easy on the new guys, and I let them work. I let them tap me out, and sometimes I don't think people realize that I'm being nice and think they really destroyed me.
Yeah, I think so.
But then I slowly, as they start getting better, I'll start slowly ramping it up, and I don't know. Sometimes I think that might backfire on me, because I've actually heard some people say, "Boy, that guy's horrible."
But he's nice.
Yeah. So at least they like me. No, but it helps me too. I like to let people put me in some really bad positions, and sometimes I'll get out of stuff. Sometimes I'll let them finish just to help out their confidence and stuff of that sort.
Yeah. That kind of, we'll get to our article later.
Kind of goes with
our article of the week. But, Gary, let's get on with our quote of the week. This is from Andre Montero, so you know it's going to be good.
Through the sports, our mission is to promote a better quality of life and add social value, education, morals, and create a better citizen, not only on the mats, but in life. Propagate values in our community is valuable for the future. Well
said, Andre. It's not just about learning chokes and getting better at jiu-jitsu. It's about making better people. That what you learn on the mat is not just jiu-jitsu. It's about life, and it's about, you're adding. He really didn't even say jiu-jitsu. He said through sports.
Yeah.
Through any sport that a kid is doing or an adult, you're gonna have ups and downs. You're gonna face competition, and sometimes win, sometimes lose.
Just like life.
Just like life, man.
Yep. And for anybody who doesn't know Andre, he just opened a brand new academy there in New York City. So definitely check out A-Force, Andre's academy there.
Yeah, he's got it going on up there, and
we have been lucky enough to be able to train with Andre. So thank you, Andre. We appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us, and you've actually made us better citizens.
Yeah, and he's a perfect example of what he's talking about here.
Yeah, definitely.
If you meet Andre, really nice guy. He's really in it to help you on and off the mat. He's the perfect, what you think of like a martial artist is more than just about doing knee bars to people.
Yep.
All right, Gary. The article of the week is what is the etiquette for rolling with black belts? It's on jiu-jitology.com.
And definitely check out that jiu-jitology.com. There's a lot of good little articles there too. I this is the first time I'd seen it, and so I checked out the home and checked everything out. So it's a great place. But back to what is the etiquette for rolling with black belts, and I'll let Byron talk this one since I'm not a black belt.
Gary has just as much experience as I do, so he just doesn't train in the gi on a regular basis.
Gi, what's that?
So, I would say this also qualifies for Gary, but he kind of his philosophy was when he's rolling with somebody, he wants to tap them out every time. That was his big goal that he has. Whether he's a white belt rolling to blue belt or purple belt, especially if they're upper belt, he's going for the kill. And that's, our interview of the day is going for the submission, so that's a big deal.
It's all about submissions.
So, but he's kind of had maybe a second guess on what he's doing there, and maybe he should not be, because sometimes he'll submit somebody who's better than him, and he calls it lucky, but like sometimes Gary, me and you, we both play around a lot. It usually won't take a white belt 30 seconds to pass my guard, and they'll be working their side control, and then they go mount and I escape, and then they, whatever. Like there's a lot of movement, and this is encouraged because it really doesn't do me much good to hold guard and to confuse the white belt and do no. I'm going to have fun with this round, and hopefully I'm going to see what they're working on, and we're going to try to tighten it up maybe. I'm not like quite like Gary where I let them tap me out, but I've been tapped up by lower belts. If you get a good position, stuff happens, especially on your back.
Yeah, you get in a bad position, stuff happens. It's going to happen.
So he wants to know, is it rude? Is it what's the etiquette of rolling with a upper belt? Should a blue belt be trying to tap out the black belt? Gary, what do you think?
I think you should. I don't necessarily just mean going out there and muscling around and being a bully, so to speak, knee in the jaw, stuff like that. But I think that you should go out there and train safely, try to go for stuff, and if you catch something, take it. Try to finish it. It's my thing is, I'm going to start. Let's say I'm rolling with a really high belt or something, or black belt. I'm going to come out there very respectful and courteous. I'm going to roll really slow, let that person establish the pace, and then go from there. I don't know. I have a lot of respect for the upper belts, for the black belts, and I don't really want to get somebody upset, but I'm going to let them start the pace. If it picks up, I'm going to pick up, equally. I'm going to try to take stuff home. I'm not going to muscle anything. I'm going to try to I'm not going to go for ankle locks. I'm not going to go for heel hooks. I'm going to be very respectful and courteous.
To me, it's almost like it's more about the relationship. Like I could say, hey, Gary, how would I make my wife not be mad at me today? Well, he has no idea what my wife is going to like or not like.
I'd say get flowers.
That'd probably be a good plan.
Yeah.
But it's more about your relationship you have with your instructor or the upper belt. And with, can you read what they want you to do or expect out of you? And for me personally, I don't care. If you want to come at me and go 110 miles an hour.
Like a wounded cougar?
Much like a wounded cougar. I'll react to that in a way to either slow things down or to just see what you're going to do, I guess. But I'd rather you go fast than you get like side control or something and just smash on my face for 3 minutes. I probably won't let you get side control that easily next time.
Yeah. Like, you're going to stay away from side control.
So, or it's
you're going to enforce top game.
Yeah. And just understand that sometimes it's good to go hard, and sometimes it's good to. A lot of times they'll ask, "What are you working on today?"
Yeah.
And if they say nothing, that's fine. That's the most common answer. If they say mount, guess who's going to have a lot of mount time today?
Yep.
Whatever belt, that white belt's going to end up in mount pretty quick, and I'm going to see what they're going to do. That's fine. So I think it depends on some instructors may not do that, and that's fine too.
Yeah, and I like what you said. That was a good point. That you don't know my wife. You don't know. It depends on that relationship you have with that instructor. A lot of times it may be at a seminar or visiting black belt that you don't really know, and there you might want to as you're shaking hands, just start out really slow and let that person dictate the pace, because you're probably not going to have a great conversation beforehand since you don't really know each other.
Yeah, typically like with a guest, that's a good way to do this, I guess, if you don't know somebody, is start off kind of, the handshake, fist bump, and then protect yourself.
Worst case scenario, you're going to get tapped out quick, and forcefully, and then you kind of know where it's at. But most black belts aren't going to be like that.
But would you rather get tapped out quickly or be seen as kind of an a-hole who jumped all over somebody?
I'd rather get tapped out quickly.
Yeah. So come in there and feel each other out a little bit. Kind of for me, if I don't know, we've had a brown belt visiting for a couple weeks here, and it was like, he's very good, but the first round that we had started off with the first minute like kind of slow pace, and by the end of the 5 minutes we're going pretty hard, and it was fun. But if he never would have picked it up and I never picked it, like that would have been the way we would have rolled.
Yeah.
So,
which is still good, even if you are rolling slow.
Yeah.
It's depending on where everybody wants to go, and that's the cool thing about this sport. It's sometimes you go hard, sometimes you go slow, sometimes in between. It's really what you feel like at that moment.
I would say for your own learning development, going 100 miles an hour against upper belts probably isn't the best thing to do all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to show your A game. It's what you do, but if you slow down, they'll slow down. They'll let you work some stuff, maybe.
Well, that's what I liked about the article. You know, the guy who was super aggressive and wanted to tap everybody got hurt. And while he was hurting and healing, he really had to slow down in his grappling. And it seems like at that point he started questioning, did he do everything right before? And this guy's going to be a great jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
He's already, got that intensity. Now he's, thinking through stuff. I mean, what a great mind.
Yeah. I think back, some of my favorite roles when I was a white belt was with somebody who was way better than me.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Get schooled by like Jason Bircher or Eric Williams. Like, this is cool. And I was trying 100%.
Yeah.
But I was a dumb white belt.
Yeah,
and
we
they
were so terrible.
They were
Even if we tried 110%, nothing happened.
Yeah. But
except tapped quick.
Yeah. I mean but those I look back at those, and those were fun for me, and I learned a lot about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to tell myself as the white belt, hey, don't go, back down a little bit. Show the guy too much show him respect. No, they're okay.
But what are your favorite roles today? Are they the same way? Because I can think of, like, my favorite roles are some really technical guys, and we get together and re-roll 90% and just keep going and really flowing. Those are my favorite roles.
Yeah. I like to, my favorite role would be like get side control on Gary and then try to hold that crap for like as long as I possibly can until I'm tired.
Till I'm tired, till I break.
No, it's not my fault I can't finish my attack. He's so tight with his arms and everything. Anyway, but I think it's less about the belt and more about the relationship with the person who's on the mat with you, whether it be anybody. Should you be going hard against different white belts? I mean, see what the person wants, and then also what you want, and try to find the middle ground there. Some guys, some white belts, I go hard every time, and they love it, and I can tell they do. I mean, they're laughing and having a good time, and getting smoked. But in some white belts, I haven't tapped out for 30 minutes of mat time, I'm sure.
Because I see Byron going really hard in that kid's white belt class. He's really going hard on some of those guys.
Sometimes they throw two at a time. It's like you got to deal with that. Those guys will bite you. Anyway, check out the article. It's on jiujitology.com.
And if you're a black belt, at the bottom there, he's got a little place where you can send him an email. He wants to know, and if you have your little answer to the question. And I think that's pretty neat.
Yep, a lot of great articles on that website. We'll hope to get more from him in the future. Guys, if you want to get a little bit more of the BJJ Brick podcast, we got a couple audiobooks available for download for free. The way to get those would be go to our website, which is bjjbrick.com, or go to our Facebook page. There's a little place you can put your name and email address, and every Tuesday we send out an email with the show notes from the podcast. At the very bottom is a little link to a Dropbox folder, and that will give you access to some content that's not available elsewhere.
Did you make a mistake? Did you say free?
I did say free.
You're giving that away for free?
Absolutely, Gary. One of them is called Tilt. It's how to find balance in your BJJ game.
I like that name. A little
play on words.
Yeah.
Another one is how to compete in a BJJ tournament, even if you are busy. And the third audiobook we have for the newsletter subscribers is called Breaking Your Limits. It helps you get past any barriers you might have on or off the mat.
I hope to put more stuff in there as time goes, but
it's free, so definitely check it out.
Yeah, just download them to your phone or your computer and check them out. It should be easy. Gary, we've got a tip here from our friend Roy Marsh, who has a seminar online available for download. It's $20. It's about guillotines. So let's go ahead and play that tip.
So I think people misunderstand kind of the strength of the guillotine. Something Carlos Lemos told me once, which is you have to understand the hierarchy of body strength. Arms are weaker than legs. Legs is weaker than back. If I grab a guillotine and I'm just pulling with my arms, I'm not using my maximum power. So the way a guillotine works for me is I put a bar under his neck, which is my wrist. And then my back, my lat, basically drives his head down so that he's looking at his chest. I'm not pulling up so much. I mean, I'm pulling up, but not so much as I am forcing him to look back at himself, pushing his head down around my wrist. It's going to be a much more powerful guillotine, either from standing or from the guard, than just pulling. This is why you'll see people pull, and the head will either pop out or they'll come up on their toes and get lifted and drawn. So my power comes from the fact that I'm basically, in essence, bridging into him and pointing my choking elbow at his chest, making him look back at himself. That's where the power of the choke comes from, because now it's my back forcing the choke and not my arms.
That's the power of the guillotine.
Yeah, the hierarchy of body strength. You know, you're using your back to basically force that head down into, as he says, the bar, which is his arm. Much more powerful guillotine.
Yep, you're not just lifting up with your arms. Those aren't, some guys have big arms, but those aren't the big muscles in your body you want to use.
Yep. Unless you have a really skinny back. No, but Roy's given us some great tips.
Yeah.
So definitely, using the stronger muscles to make the guillotine that much more effective.
Yep, you could find the link to where has a seminar posted there for download on the show notes or on the website. Swing by, check it out, and if it looks like something that will help you out, go ahead and download it there. It'll help him out. Well, Gary, without much further ado, what should we do?
I think we should get on to our interview with Rafael Lovato Jr.
All right, I'm very excited for this. So here we go. He is the most interesting grappler in the world.
When he does a sweep, the mat actually gets a little cleaner. In a friendly game of basketball, he once scored 2 points for a takedown. If he invites some of the BJJ class, they actually show up. One of his cauliflower ears was eaten by a vegetarian.
I don't always listen to podcasts, but when I do, I prefer the BJJ Brick Podcast. Go for the submission, my friends.
Just to let you know, this interview did take place on January 1st. So when he's talking about how he's healing and how he's doing, he's talking about how he was on January 1st. All right, my friends, I'm happy to introduce Rafael Lovato Jr. to the BJJ Brick Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Good. I'm happy to have you on here. I'm sure we're going to talk about a lot of cool stuff today. You got your podcast, the Save Jiu-Jitsu Podcast that you have, and your initiative with that. And first and foremost, I got to know, how are you doing as far as your health and your injury?
I'm doing really well. Healing fast. I'm like 7 weeks out from surgery now, so I'm coming up on nearly 2 months of recovery since my surgery. I have pretty much 100% range of motion back right now. So that is really, really good. My doctors say I'm doing, really well. My therapist is really amazed at how fast I'm healing. So all that's great. I still have a good, 2 more months to go. Maybe a little longer, maybe a little less. Hard to say for sure. Initially they were saying 4 to 6 months total. So of course I'm thinking 4 months. I'm going towards the lower end. But hopefully I can be training at least lightly, very lightly and carefully, sometime within the next month, and then start to turn it up in February on into March. And my goal, my plan is just to jump right back into the Worlds. If I can be healthy and strong enough to train hard in March, that'll give me, about 2 months to get ready. And so, as long as I don't miss the Worlds, then I'm happy. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Getting hurt at the time that I did get hurt if you're going to get hurt, that's the best time, during the holidays and everything else, the beginning of the year, so I can still come back strong and have a good, full year of competition this year in 2015. So I'm staying positive. Everything's going well. Just ready to get back after it, man. I'm going to be super, super motivated. So on that end of things, it could have, I believe it was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, that's a great attitude to have as far as something bad like that happening to you. It's if it's going to happen, it's happened at that time, and you're going to take it for what it's worth. I'm reminded, we recently did an interview with Coach John Kavanagh from Straight Blast Gym in Ireland, who's got a bunch of people in the UFC, and he mentioned that when somebody gets hurt and they come back, it's a weird phenomenon that they come back with like a cleaner, crisper game, and like maybe their mind is digesting what's happening or kind of filtering out what works and what doesn't work, and that little bit of a break away from actually being on the mat and training every day so hard, let your mind kind of catch up to what your body wants to do. I don't know. It was an interesting idea he had.
Yeah. I've experienced that before. It's been a long time since I've been hurt. My last injury that kept me out like this, or the only other injury I've ever had that kept me out like this, was in 2008. It was an LCL sprain. I had to, I didn't have to have surgery, but I had to walk in crutches and do therapy and all that. It was around 4 to 6 months as well of a recovery, but I felt really good coming back, and I've pretty much been going nonstop ever since that injury. These last 6 years, from competing all the way until like November, and then starting again in January or February. So I've kept up a pretty crazy routine over the last 6 years of training twice a day, and only maybe having a few weeks where I wasn't training hard for some sort of event. And so on that end of things, I looking back and taking this time to really heal and put my energy and focus into other areas in my life, and just kind of getting a different perspective on things, because I usually live my life is a lot like a nonstop training camp. I'm like constantly getting ready for the next event, and so there's always this thing that's on the top of my mind, every day, and not having that right now is a good thing. Getting to put my energy into some other areas, and I know that when I come back, I'm just going to be really motivated and refreshed, and my body's going to be feeling a way that it's never felt before, because I've just been going and going and going. So I think it's going to be a great year for me.
Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to do this year as well. You are known as America's most accomplished Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu athlete, and with that, you've got quite an ability to speak to the community, and you've chosen to voice your opinion about the way that the sport is headed in the future. I guess where it is right now, I guess, but your Save Jiu-Jitsu Podcast. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing with that.
Well, I started that earlier last year now. I guess I'd say it's January 1st. So earlier last year, right after the Pan Ams, and basically like, I've been a black belt now for, over 10 years, and I've seen, a ton of evolution in the sport, from the techniques and the games that people play, and over the last few years, I would say that there's been some pretty big ups and downs as far as at the end of a big tournament weekend like the Worlds or Pan Ams. Looking back, a lot of people might feel like, that wasn't very fun to watch. That wasn't like it used to be, or you get so excited for some of these big matchups that you kind of dream about, and then you're watching it, and you see two guys just kind of like wanting to barely win, and just really play the rules and play the game, of just being good enough or better, just barely enough better than the other guy within a certain amount of time. And of course, stalling has been around for forever. There's always been stalling, but I just felt like the mindset and, the mentality of a lot of the competitors has really fallen into that, maybe because they felt like, other people were going to do it to them, so they have to, do it better than them, or that's like the only way they can win. They just want to play safe. They feel pressure or whatever it may be, to cause someone to want to go out and, just really hold and take away the clock and use the advantages and all that sort of stuff to win. And, so I just thought, man, it was, I got to a point where I was, jiu-jitsu is my love, it's my passion. And, I just kind of got a little sad from some of the things that I saw and watching, the younger generation of people, the next generation of black belts, seeing these guys at blue, purple, brown belt, they're looking up to people fighting this way. And so it's like, and it makes me think and wonder what else is going to be coming. Is this how it's just going to be, and so I felt like it was important for me to say something and kind of hopefully inspire some people and give them, something to think about, give them a different perspective, and hopefully also help help push other events to come out with different rule sets, or have someone like the IBJJF listen in and hear and want to make some rules changes to their events and help make it to where it's more exciting for the fans, and people are pushing the action, and really just people are opening up their games and really going for it, and on that end of things, I think not only is it better for the sport and better for everyone watching, but I think it would help the athletes, be able to learn more from their competition experience and gain more, out of it, and be able to get better. If you go out there and you're so afraid of losing, that you play not to lose instead of to really win, and you don't open up your game that much, you don't take the risks, you don't, put it all out there, then you're not going to learn that much, walking off that mat, you're not going to have the same amount of information and tools, win or lose, to go back home and say, okay, here's what I need to work on. Here's what happened out there. And this is, what I need to be focusing on in my training so I can get better and not let it happen again. I see some people like win tournaments winning every match by an advantage, and hardly doing anything. And it's like, man, what did you really learn? What happened? What can you gain from that? And, so like, we've talked a lot. I've done like 5 episodes. I want to be able to do at least one a month. I just, it's hard to juggle, so many things that I have going on, but, we did 5, from like April, to the end of last year. We did 5 episodes, and a lot of them got a lot of great feedback and people sharing the podcast and stuff like that and talking about it. And, I think it's helping to get the word out there, and I'm going to keep it up and try to do a lot more, going into this year. But we talk about a lot of things, not just trying to change the rules or stuff like that, but, the people that I've had Sean G. Hibeto on there, Bali Ostima, Jeff Glover, other, really experienced black belts, and they share just a lot of good information, for people, for students to take and help them with their training and their jiu-jitsu journey. So, there's good information on there, but really my whole goal with it was just to inspire people, was just to make people fight, more inspired.
I like you have like a 2-prong approach to the situation. One of it is to help change the culture, like to get students motivated to finish their matches and to push themselves and not just hang out there and try to eke out a victory. And the second approach is to maybe help inspire maybe some rule changes. So no matter what, even if you never change a rule, you've inspired countless people who are training differently and really working hard to, like you say, like go for the submission.
Yes, yeah, I hope so. That's really what it's all about. And it's easy to get lost in all the new games and everything that pops up, and the new tricky stuff, and that I'm not against that. Like I think this circle of the evolution that we're in, what the phase that we're in right now, sure, maybe it's kind of slowing down some of the action on some end of things, but hopefully, it's just a phase that now we're going to come out of this, and people can figure out what's effective and what works, and hopefully have a different mindset with taking what they've seen and what's happening, and say, okay, what out of this is valuable? What can I use to, as far as effective jiu-jitsu, but also remain true to the essence of the art, and not going too far away from what it's all about, from getting dominant position and finishing somebody.
So that being said, if that's like the mental side of it, what your goal would be, but no matter what, people are going to play to the rules.
Yes.
That's how sports are. That's why a lot of rules are made to change the way people play. What rule change do you see that would be pretty effective in helping people be a little bit more exciting?
The number one thing that I would do is get rid of advantages. 100%. That's what I've already been talking about a lot. Myself and some of the other, top competitors that have a strong voice. There's several guys that are right there with me, agree with me 100%. We would all like to see advantages just taken away. To me, they really don't make sense. I know why they're there, so that way if their score's tied, they don't have to make a decision. It's, you can easily see that there's a winner, but it's not so easy, basically now people only, I don't want to say all people, for sure there's finishers out there. I'm not putting everyone in this category, but you see a lot of times, especially in the very competitive matches, the matches like in the semifinals or finals, you see how much the advantages affect the way that people play, how much they are thinking about advantage. They have to score those advantages, and basically it, if you get an advantage, then you're ahead. And so then they start to not do much anymore and want to hold and keep that advantage and win with that advantage. And so the matches stay close, because, they have an advantage, and that's like their point, so they're going to hold on to that and want to win with that. Well, then they're not even scoring points. They're only scoring advantages. So if the other guy happens to do something and get an advantage, well, then it's tied again. So you still see a lot of decisions, even with, advantages being in the game. It's not like they just magically got rid of all decisions. There's still a lot of decisions that take place, and the matches are way less exciting, because they're not even scoring points. And so, I think if you got rid of advantages, people would open up more. They're going to work to score, the points. And, at the end, if matches are still tied, then, I think, the referees that have been doing this for years, they can still have, a good solid idea of, okay, yes, it's 2-2, but this guy, he had an armbar attempt. He made the guy turtle, all the stuff that would be advantages, they could still put that into their decision-making process to make a winner. Or we could do cool things like have overtimes, for finals. I mean, there's so many different ideas. But if it doesn't change, it's not going to, people aren't going to change the way they play, and it's not going to look much different. And if it doesn't look better, then it's not going to get the mainstream media and everything else involved, and that's one thing I give a lot of props to Metamoris about is, they're making it a show, they're making it an event, and, they're going back to the essence of jiu-jitsu and the submission and the longer time, and that's something that is getting a lot of media attention and can help the sport greatly get the attention that it deserves, and help bring the money, help bring the bigger sponsors and the bigger businesses into jiu-jitsu, which is just a good thing. So, this is after competing for so long and being involved in jiu-jitsu for so long, seeing so much, this is stuff that I'm very passionate about, and I'd like to, see our sport, get the respect and get to the level that it deserves to be.
What is the easiest way to earn an advantage point?
A near sweep.
A near sweep. So
a near sweep.
So no amount of advantages equals a point, right?
No.
So
no amount.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry.
So what would it be like? I mean, I'm just trying to think of different ways to clearly, okay, advantages, they brought those on to get rid of a referee's decision, get rid of the tie, and that's not working. We still have matches that end in ties, and ultimately it might even grind matches down to where you don't have to actually earn a point. So it's even slower and less. Right. There's a lot less action because you don't have to do a full thing to earn a point. But if you see some guys that will have, like you're talking about, will have that strategy, pull guard, get themselves an advantage, and then they might win right with that. That could be game over if the guy on top can't manage to actually earn a point.
Exactly. This is how it's going, because here's the deal. Okay, a near sweep is like the most evolution that you see in jiu-jitsu is from the guard. All right, there's always new guard games. There's always new grips and new angles and ways to sweep and basically sweep. I mean, you see some evolution of the guard for submissions, but not near the same as what it is for sweeps. All right, there's always tons of new ways to sweep people coming out, but there's not always a whole bunch of new triangles and arm bars and chokes and stuff from the guard that you see. So most of the evolution in jiu-jitsu is from the guard, and most of that involves new sweeps and ways of sweeping people. That's where the 50-50 came from. This is, it's almost it's a great way to hold someone, take away the clock. You're not going to be in so much danger of getting your guard passed because they're stuck. You're literally in a 50-50 position. I mean, both guys have the same thing. You can knock someone back. A blue belt could sweep a world champion black belt from 50-50. You could knock the guy backwards, come up and get 2 points, or just knock him down enough, barely come up and fall back and get an advantage, hold that 50-50 the rest of the match, and he's going to win. That's why I feel like, it's hard. It's hard to pass some of these guys as guards. It's hard. It takes a long time, and it's hard. And so most people would rather try to win from their guard. So that's why you get two guys running out there and you see them double guard pull now. I remember when you would never see a double guard pull, that just didn't exist, but now so much evolution from the guard. Most people are guard players, so they want to run out and get their guard right away and basically, look for the sweep. And, if they can't get the two, that's fine. They'll take the advantage and just not let the guy pass, hold on, get some grips and win off those advantages. And that's why you see two guys running out and both pulling guard at the same time. They did a better job of stopping that this year, but, it still exists, and I think the one thing that would make the hugest difference, not like, okay, we can't, instead of outlawing the double guard pull or, just making it more and more and more and more complicated. It's so complicated now. I remember when I used to feel like I knew the rules in and out.
Yeah.
People used to ask me about, okay, what's the rules? Who's winning? What's the score? And I could always tell them. Nowadays, I think there's many of the head refs that don't even really know. I mean, they got to talk to each other all the time. Like, they don't even know. You know, it's so complicated. And so if you just got rid of advantages, I think that would take away so much of the complication and change. You know, just that one change would help so much push it in the right direction.
You know, I think back to other sports and how it's important for sports to change their rules to evolve and to get more exciting, and to either that or they don't go anywhere. And I did a little research. Basketball in 1950, they had the Pistons and Lakers. The big final was 19-18. That was the score. And it was a game of stalling. It was a game of, if you had the lead in the last quarter, you were going to win. You could hold the ball. There wasn't any really contact allowed. And it was game over. And then they brought in the shot clock. You had 24 seconds to get rid of the ball, to shoot it. And it was a few years later, the scores were 93 points was like an average score in a game. Mm-hmm. So it's just, that's a small rule change, but it encouraged tons of action. And same thing like in football. Before 1906, there was no forward pass. And so it was a game of like brute strength and just like tons of injuries. And now you could pass the ball forward, and like that's got speed, it's got skill, and a lot more strategy. Like, that's a pretty big rule change, but it's important for sports to look at themselves and say, what could we do differently? What could we change this year, and see if that affects the way people are going to play? And of course, give the athletes time to adjust and be ready for the rule change. You know, sometimes I think about different rules and stuff, but how would you feel if a guard puller got like a -1 point for pulling guard, just like one time in the match? So you could pull guard twice or whatever. You pull guard one time, -1 point, and that puts you as a guard player in a position where you have to do something with your guard. You have to get a submission, or you have to get an actual sweep in order to even win the match.
Yeah, you know, that could be a possibility, but you know, on the other hand, that's you know, like, I don't want to go against jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, the guard is a fundamental.
Yeah, because then the problem is, you know, maybe you have a really badass guard, and you know, you believe in it and you pull, but now the other guy is winning.
Yeah.
And so he can hold on, and you lose because you pulled, and maybe you were super aggressive and active from your back. You know what I mean? If someone has a great triangle, then they should be able to pull guard and go for the submission there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they just need real points, you know, just real points only. That way, no one's going to, you know, halfway sweep somebody and then just stay on their back. You know what I mean? They got to take the full sweep. They got to get up and try to pass,
yeah.
You know?
A dramatic thing has to happen in the match. You earn your points.
Yeah.
You get your sweep. You pass the guard. You get mount. It's something that's important.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, there's I think definitely, like, you know, over the past year, you know, year and a half, like, people have noticed this in, you know, 5 grappling. They don't have advantages. And you know, there's some new events starting to come out. I've seen, I think Keegan Machado is behind an event. They're going to have their first one coming up in a couple weeks. In January, I think it's like the 10th or something like that. But they're giving like you know, money for like a prize money, pretty good prize, and they don't have advantages, I believe, and they have a couple other things that they're doing. You know, everyone is trying. You know, people are trying now. Eddie Bravo has a show. You know, you got Metamoris. Like, people are throwing out different rules and different you know, different settings, you know, to promote a more entertaining style of jiu-jitsu. And so, you know, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, you know, one of these events, you know, will find something that's really working well, and it can, hopefully, you know, the IBJJF will see it, and they can make some changes to the, you know, to the most traditional events, you know, to the oldest jiu-jitsu events, the most important ones. And we could see, you know, a different looking Worlds. You know, I thought last year's Worlds, last year's Pan was very disappointing. It did not look good, but I thought the Worlds last year was one of the best worlds, maybe the best worlds that I had seen in the last maybe 4 or 5 years. So it's up and down. Right now it's mostly in the hands of the athletes because the rules aren't changing, So, you got your guys like Buchecha and Hudolfo and, some of the new school guys like Felipe Pena. I think he has a nice game. Some other guys that are showing really beautiful jiu-jitsu from everywhere, and they're going for the sub, and it's awesome. But, it's still, until the rules change, until they make some differences, it's still going to be up and down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you almost feel the pressure of it. Like when I'm out there, I don't think about advantages. Half the time I don't know what the advantage score is. I'm just paying attention to, more of the points, but you got to think about it. Like I have to worry. I have to score some advantages,
Yeah.
So even the guys that want to open up and go, they still have to make sure that they're putting their advantages and points on the board just in case, you know what I mean? Because you never know when someone's going to want to just throw you in 50-50 and hold you for the rest of the 5, 6, 8, 10 minutes, maybe the whole match, And so if you didn't already put some points on the board, you could get stalled out and lose, So until there's a real rules change, I think it's still going to just be kind of up and down. Sometimes it's going to look better than others.
Yeah, it'll be less consistent as far as what we get as a product.
Right.
Hello, everybody. This is John Kavanagh, head coach of Straight Blast Gym Ireland, and you're listening to the BJJ Brick Podcast.
Supposed to be you in the white gi or the black gi?
I'm the guy on top.
Is the nose an accurate representation?
It's not quite that big, but I got a big nose, man. So
it's a proud nose. I like it.
it's every now and then, I'll be training and somebody will go, "Is that you from the podcast?" And I'll say, "Yeah," and I'll go, "How do you know?" Maybe somebody told me that. I saw you on the logo. I'm like, damn it. What would you say to like a student who is getting ready to compete and is in their training and learning about the rules and things like that, and they're really being taught, of course they're being taught rules and submissions, but they're also being taught how to earn an advantage?
That's the thing. Like, if you're gonna compete, you're gonna compete in that rules setting, then you gotta. You have to know a little bit of that game. You got to know what could happen to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of sad. Like to have to talk about that and go over that. And
well, I don't want to bring you down. You're you've got you're injured. You have a great attitude. You're sound like you're highly motivated. I don't want to have to make you think about students being taught about how to earn advantages all over the country or all over the world.
Yeah. Like. Whenever I take a big team to a tournament, if it's one of the IBJJF tournaments, like the Houston Open or the Dallas Open, those are ones that we hit every year because those are the closest ones to us here in Oklahoma. And the guys that I have that go to the Pan Ams and the Worlds, they already know, they've seen it, they've dealt with it, and they have the experience. But when I have more of my recreational guys that are just training for fun and they want to jump in and compete, and then the week of the tournament, I'm always going over, taking questions and talking about strategy, and I have to tell everyone, okay guys, look, here's the advantages, here's how it works, here's how you might end up losing because of it if you're not prepared, you know what I mean? And I have to explain it all, and it sucks. It'd be so much cooler to just be like, hey, go out there and you should, if you feel like you won, then you probably won,
Yeah.
Instead, I have to explain it all the different ways where you might feel that you should win, but you could actually lose. So, that sucks. You know what I mean? Like, it should just be, hey, if I go out there and I'm trying subs and I'm on this guy and I'm doing my thing, you know what I mean? I'm implementing my game. I should win, but it doesn't always go that way.
What tournament format do you have that you prefer for your students?
I like 5. I like the 5 grappling because there is no advantages.
Yeah.
I just don't like advantages, honestly. I think they have more fun when they're competing, and there's no advantages to in their back of their mind. So that's cool. For me personally, I love Metamoris. Just for so many reasons of it. The actual like professionalism of it, and how it's a show, and the energy of it feels really good. But then also, of course, I love a longer time limit. I love that there is no points, and it's just more pure. So, I have fun in a lot of things, though. I love to compete in all sorts of events. ADCC. I've pretty much done every. I've competed no time limit matches. I've done. I was in the Budo Challenge, ADCC. I did so many, special rules type events.
Yeah.
And so I have fun mixing it up in everything. And I think that's really what it's all about, so you can get different challenges, and your jiu-jitsu, you find its effectiveness, not just how it works in one setting, with certain points or advantages being involved, in order to find, that real jiu-jitsu that's most effective for your style and your body, it needs to be tested in all different rule settings or lack of rules. That's why I always recommend for people in their training to change the way they train, mix it up. Don't always do your standard 6-7 minute rounds, where you're thinking about points and stuff like that in your mind and all that. Like, go no time limit. Like, how many people, train a no time limit round at least once a week? It's probably pretty rare. And that's what I grew up training. That's how I grew up training, was always no time limit. Like, we never even had a clock. It was just train until you got a submission.
Yeah.
And then you would look around and see if there was someone else that, and grab a new partner. You know what I mean? You pretty much didn't stop training with someone until there was a submission, or you're just like, it's been 40 minutes. I want to train with someone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that to me is, when it's like the real jiu-jitsu is going on. You know what I mean? When you're not saying to yourself, okay, it's just one more minute, I'm going to hold here,
Yeah. It seems like some days you need to have the timer break or something like that in order to have it like, whoa, this is crazy. But anymore, people have cell phones, and there's always a timer that people are able to pull out. But I go no time limit match with a guy or another practitioner that's competitive with you, and see, like, for me, I don't want to quit. I don't care if I get tapped out or not, but 25, 30 minutes into it, I don't want to just like be tired and be done. And that's the same as my training partner. He's going to keep pushing. And if I feel like he's kind of tired and giving in on me, I know he's not happy with what he's doing either. So that's a different feel to jiu-jitsu than most, I think, people who just do the 5 minutes get, because the time will save you if you're going to kind of hold out for a little while.
Yeah. Whenever I see Salo and Shanji, and we, every other month or every few months or so, we always see each other. We get on the mat, whether they're coming here or I'm seeing them out there in California. And, I'll tell you, whenever we train, like, unless it's, like Worlds Camp and we're all getting ready for a tournament, if we just get on the mat together and train for the sake of training, there is never a clock. Never. We never train with a clock. We, we shake hands and we go. We just roll. Because, man, it might be 15 minutes before something major happens. You know what I mean? It's hard to pass someone's guard. It's hard. It's hard to, to just. It's a chess game. So when you're talking on this level, like, no one's just going to make a quick mistake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it takes time. And so if we only train 10-minute rounds or less, we'd probably, it's just going to be either me trying to pass his guard the whole time or him trying to pass my guard the whole time. and nothing happened. You know, it needs to go longer. You know, so then there's more information. You know, we'll have our 40-minute rolls, and we've rolled an hour straight before. We've had some amazing rolls, you know, like that just were, you know, 50 minutes long, and then we kind of just look at each other and we just make eye contact and we smile and we say, okay, you know, good. That was good training right there, you know, and then that's it, you know, and we'll just stop, you know, we'll mutually just shake hands and say, okay, you know, that's about it. And then afterwards, we'll spend 20, 30 minutes, you know, talking about everything that happened. Okay, do you remember this transition here? Like, you almost had me there. And, you know, we have so much to talk about and learn from each other, instead of doing that 10-minute roll and hardly anything happens. You know, and I feel good and he feels good because nothing happened. You know what I mean? It's like, someone's got to make a mistake. I want to get tapped. I want him to catch me. So then I realize, oh, okay, that's what I did wrong. Thank you. You know what I mean? You helped me out with that, you know, and also it's the mental too. You know, if Shanji, he tires me out, he passes my guard. Well, now I got to deal with that, you know, 30 minutes into it, I got to deal with that. You know, am I going to, you know, give up and make it easy for him to sub me, or am I going to stay strong and try to defend and get out of this? And, you know, maybe he mounts me and you know, and I got to survive that, you know what I mean? And then it's like, if I do and I am able to survive it, that's a victory for me. You know, it's like, I didn't give up. I didn't get submitted from the mount that time, you know, and maybe that wouldn't have happened if we didn't train for that long, you know. I mean, it probably wouldn't have. Yeah.
Before you got injured, you had a Metamoris match scheduled with Yuri. Are you interested in picking that back up after your main focus right now is the Worlds, but after that, are you interested in doing that one?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, any time that I could get on him, you know, be a part of a Metamoris event, you know, I'm going to take advantage and try to be there. So hopefully, you know, the cards will work out right to where I'll be healthy at the right time, and I'll have an opening on my schedule, and Metamoris, you know, hopefully it'll work out right to where I can be back in Metamoris this year. You know, obviously the match with Yuri, it was supposed to happen. We already had the countdown video for it and everything. So there's a little bit of like unfinished business feeling with that. And so, you know, I'd be down to do that. But if it didn't work out, if he had other things going on or it just didn't work out and it was someone else, I don't care. I would love to be on the Metamoris card, you know? So, you know, this year is a big year because there's ADCC. So, and it's a little earlier this year. It's in August. So, you know, the Worlds are in May and at the end of May, and then ADCC will be pretty much, I mean, I'm pretty much going to have to go right into ADCC camp, right after that to get ready for that in August. And I also want to fight again this year, like MMA.
Yeah.
I want to fight again. So, you know, pretty big things, Worlds, ADCC, another MMA fight. Those are big things, going on. But, if I can get on a Metamoris show, I would love to be there.
Now, transitioning from, like, you know, gi jiu-jitsu to the Abu Dhabi competition, do you train at all with the gi for that, or do you put it aside?
I will. Like, I mean, I'll still teach classes in the gi, you know, like, obviously. And so my focus is obviously, you know, always going to like be whatever I'm competing in. So for ADCC, my focus is just the no gi and you know, all the wrestling and everything that I need to do to get ready for that. But, you know, to have a certain level of balance, and also like whenever I'm feeling broken down from that sort of training and I want to kind of mix it up a little bit or whatever. Whenever I'll teach my gi classes, I'll grab some of my guys and just do more like fun rolls in the gi. You know, I actually did that at my MMA camp. You know, I still rolled in the gi at least once or twice a week, while I was in my MMA camp, and it felt great. It was just more for almost the kind of like the refreshingness of it. I don't know if that makes sense. You know, going from something so physical and intense as MMA training or even ADCC training. ADCC is about as closest thing that you're going to get to MMA without actually throwing punches. You know, it's very, very physical. Guys are always getting hurt at ADCC, and that training for that is very hard because you have to train like for overtimes and you have to wrestle a lot, and so it's very physically grueling. And so to balance that out, I'll still put the gi on, roll in the gi, and keep that technical mindset and not just go 100% into the, you know, just scramble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I pretty much have to roll in the gi, you know, at least once a week, no matter what's going on.
That's good to hear. You talked a little bit about your MMA career. What are your goals with that?
Well, you know, that's funny. I think maybe you might be one of the first people that really asked me about that since I've already had my fight, like post-fight.
Yeah.
And you know, before it was all about just the experience. You know, I've pretty much grew up thinking that I was, you know, at one point in time, I was going to really, you know, I was going to be an MMA fighter at some point in time, you know, and I stayed in jiu-jitsu, you know, a little longer than what I originally thought I would, just, you know, because it's my passion. I love it so much, and I wanted to do as much as I possibly could. You know, as BJ, you know, he won the Worlds, and he, you know, he went right into MMA, and I wanted to be kind of, you know, someone from the U.S. that's consistently, you know, an American that's consistently in the you know, in the top of the world. Yeah. That's what I really wanted. And so, you know, I stayed in jiu-jitsu longer than I thought, and I had my school. You know, I took over my father's jiu-jitsu school, so I just had a lot of things going on. But you know, I was never not going to do it, and so I finally got to do it. I wanted to see, you know, how I enjoyed it, what I felt with the camp, and you know, just wanted to see what it's like. And I really liked it. It was a great experience. It was pretty much the highlight of my year last year. Just the whole experience of it all, and feeling like a white belt again, and learning so much, and having like this, you know, having that kind of nervousness and that fear that I haven't had in jiu-jitsu for a long time, because I've been competing against the best guys for so many years. You know, you just you know what to expect, and I'm always very confident out there. And so it was, you know, a great experience for me to have those nerves again and feel something new. And I was just very, very motivated, and I really enjoyed it. I like MMA. You know, do I love it as much as jiu-jitsu? No, but I do want to do more. I want to see, I want to just, you know, see how I can put it all together. You know, it's probably going to take me 4 or 5, maybe 6 fights before I feel like, okay, I know what I'm capable of in the MMA world. You know what I mean? I want to put my game together. You know, I'm a martial artist. I'm not just a jiu-jitsu guy. I believe in being well-rounded. I love all martial arts. I love Muay Thai. I love wrestling. I've competed in so many different martial arts, like in so many different combat sports, you know, everything from boxing to Kali. You know, I did stick fighting when I was a kid. You know, I jumped in Taekwondo events whenever I was a kid. I did Taekwondo tournaments. I did wrestling tournaments. I did Sambo tournaments, to Jiu-Jitsu tournaments, to gi, no gi, ADCC, Metamoris, now MMA. You know what I mean? So I just love to test myself and learn as much as I can from my experiences. And so, you know, I'm at a stage now where getting tested in MMA is, you know, something that I'm into. And so I'm going to fight again next year, at least once, and then we'll see after that. You know, 2016, you know, there won't be an ADCC, and I'll have already, you know, I've done another Worlds, and so maybe I'll switch it up and put a whole year into just doing 2 or 3 MMA fights in 2016. You know, I'm a little older, so I don't have that much time to, like, you know, go on a huge run and become UFC champion or anything like that. I just want to do enough to where I feel like, okay, I found my game as far as all martial arts, and I just want to tap into that and see what I'm capable of, and maybe win a belt at some smaller show that's not the UFC. Yeah,
it sounds like you're really wanting the experience and to see what Rafael Lovato Jr. is going to do as an MMA fighter, and how in the process of finding that in the training and just the martial arts in general.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I didn't know what to expect going into my first fight. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course, I trained. I had a game plan. I knew what I wanted to do, but when the cage door is locked and it's just you and that person, you never know what's going to happen. And so I just wanted to see how I'd react, and I'm anxious to tap into that more and really see what I'm capable of in that world.
Cool. I'm looking forward to that too. I'm happy that we're not losing such an awesome jiu-jitsu athlete to MMA. That's always disappointing to see that. And there's so many great MMA athletes. It's hard to stand out in that world, but you're such a standout in the world of jiu-jitsu. I'm happy you're staying, man.
Yeah, I can never completely switch. I think you're always going to see me doing something with the gi, every year, whether I get older and I'm starting to do master stuff or whatever it is. I'm never gonna stop 100%.
Cool. I think we got kind of your good outlook on the way your year's headed. I saw something. Are you making a book? Are you doing anything?
Man, that has been a goal of mine for quite some time. I definitely will put out a book eventually. I feel like I have so much to say, and I've been kind of outlining it and making notes for it for several years already.
Okay.
And so it's going to be a big project, and I am really looking forward to doing it. I for a second I thought, oh man, maybe that's why I got hurt, so I can put all my energy into a book. But at this stage, I have so many great opportunities and things going on right now. I'll definitely need to really schedule that and give it the time and energy it deserves. So it's hard to say when it'll be, when I'll have that done. I'm hoping that I can put it out sometime in early 2016 is what I'm hoping. So I really want to put some good energy into it this year, work on it, and get to a place where maybe by the end of this year, early next year, before when I have some downtime again, I can finish it all the way. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. I think the experiences and things that I've gone through and all the other things I've done, I feel like is to help me put out the best product possible. So there's also this other part of me that says, well, maybe I keep waiting because I'm going to keep learning and I'm going to keep having more to say and share. But I think, within the next 2 years will be a really good time. And I'm really excited to see, the final product and what I could do. But it would be unlike any other book that's out there right now. I can tell you that. It wouldn't just be, technical. It's not going to just be a bunch of pictures of techniques. It'll be a lot more to it than that.
Are you gi jiu-jitsu, no gi, both? Are we getting the story, some of your story with this, or kind of describe what you're thinking about as far as I know you haven't started actually writing it yet, but what would you be?
I'll just say that it would be somewhere between technical, just gi,
okay,
just
good.
Gi. But also would be a lot of sharing of my experiences, kind of like stories and my thoughts, and almost like a inspirational, also like a handbook, almost too, like a guide, like a guide, like what I think, you know, your journey should look like, you know, and you know, and just, you know, different things, talking about competition, you know, how to mentally prepare for competition, you know, what a competition training camp schedule would look like, you know, how to train, how to, you know, how do you get as good as you possibly could be, you know, it's a lot. It goes beyond just showing up to class, you know.
Yeah.
You have to do a lot more than that. And so I would share and talk about different things like that, and really just kind of share my story, and you know, I have a lot of cool ideas, and I'm looking forward to doing that. I think that'll be a lot of fun. It'll be very introspective, and I get to learn a lot through that experience, and I think I could make an amazing product, you know, that might be one of the, you know, most powerful things I do with my life. So that's my goal, and that's why I take it very serious, and I'm still taking my time and figuring it out, but I'm hoping to have it out there within the next couple of years.
Sounds good. I think we're all going to look forward to that. How would somebody keep up with you, and you find your podcast, find your website or Facebook, or what's the best way?
Okay. All right. Well, there's a lot of different ways to follow me. As far as the podcast goes, people can check out the episodes of the Save Jiu-Jitsu Podcast at podcast.savejujitsu.com and check those out. You know, I post a lot on social media. You know, people can follow me on my fan page, LovatoJuniorFans.com, on Facebook. You know, you could just search it on Facebook and check out my page. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Lovato Jr. BJJ. My website is lovatojr.com. And let's see, am I forgetting anything? I think that's about it. If anyone's in Oklahoma or in the South and ever in the area wants to stop by and train, they can check out my school website at okbjj.com. Oh yeah, and if anyone's ever interested in checking out any of my videos, my instructional DVDs and stuff like that, they can go to lovatobjjvideos.com.
Sounds great, and a lot of good ways to keep up with you. I'll put links to everything on the show notes.
All right.
Cool. Well,
awesome.
It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks, Byron.
Yep, I appreciate it. Have a good day. Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I want to say a big thank you to Rafael Lovato Jr. for giving us an interview and sharing what he has going on in his life with us and you guys. So, Gary, we have some gi patches available. We're going to give these away for free.
For free.
We'll give away a couple.
Yeah.
The way to get one of these would be to go on the Facebook page, find this show that has Rafael Lovato Jr. and post, you know, my brick is, and then what is your brick? And what is a BJJ brick? It's your favorite technique or one of your best techniques that you could really smash with.
Yeah, it's basically like we'd like to say, when you're using your brick move, the guy on the bottom just feels like he's getting smashed by a brick.
Or the guy on your guard.
Yeah,
I mean, it depends on the position.
Yep, it's never fun to be smashed by that brick, but it's nice when when you're the guy, when you're the bricklayer. When you're the bricklayer and you're getting ready to lay that brick, to smash that brick, that's a good time.
So go on the Facebook page, find where this show is posted.
And the first 2 comments this week are going to get as long as you're in the United States, since we're giving away for free, we don't have the access to pay for postage.
Yeah.
But the first 2 people who comment will get a BJJ brick e-patch.
Yeah, just put my brick is, and then whatever, if it's a Kimura or triangle choke, whatever you got.
Yeah. And we appreciate everybody who posts on our Facebook page. One of the guys who posts a lot of times, George Ruiz. So I want to give a shout out to him. Thank you for liking our stuff and posting and sending us emails. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. Yeah, we do notice when people it's like the same people every week are liking our show, and we love that. You know, we really appreciate the support.
You're part of the brick family.
Part of the brick house.
Yeah, the bricklayers.
So don't forget, guys. Depending on what today's date is, this interview is coming out January 19th, but you might be 2 years from now when you listen to it. I don't know. But if you're in January, January 23rd is Submission Series 902, is our show from last week. So definitely check it out. If you're a few days late, that's fine. Go find the videos online and enjoy the fights.
Yeah, definitely. Don't go to the Facebook page. Type in Submission Series 902, like that page. A lot of great matches there.
Next week, we have Rafael Lovato Jr. giving our quote of the week. So if you didn't get enough Rafael Lovato Jr. action this week, you'll be able to get a little bit more on Monday. If you'd like to get a hold of me or Gary, you can message us on Facebook or send us an email at bjjbrick@gmail.com. We'd be happy to hear from you. Any comments, support, questions. We like interacting with you guys. It means a lot to us, and it's very encouraging.
And if you happen to be traveling through the Midwest, we're based in Wichita, Kansas. Send us an email. We'd love to train with you. It would be a great time, and we'd love to learn from you.
Absolutely. So here we go. We'll catch you guys next week.
Thank you for listening. We really appreciate your support.
Stay sweaty, my friends.
Thank you for listening. I hope you find the time today to roll. After all, the best way to get better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.